Disney World is full of exceptional rides. From much beloved classics to cutting-edge showstoppers, there's really something for everyone. However, there's always a debate amongst Disney diehards about which thrill ride truly reigns supreme. Today, I'll be throwing my 2 cents in as well.
Greetings, Legionnaires. This is a video I've been wanting to make for such a long time now, because if anybody has been to Walt Disney World, just ever in your life, there's always this kind of debate that's raging about maybe 2 or 3 attractions. Which one is the cream of the crop? Which one's the best of the best? And right now, at the time of this recording, there are 2 that come up a lot of times in conversations. Is it Star Wars Rise of the Resistance or Avatar Flight of Passage? Who's gonna come in here and settle this debate once and for all? You know what? I'm gonna do it.
Once again, this is my own subjective criteria for what I personally look for in a stellar ride experience, and something that makes full use out of Disney Imagineering magic. I truly want to know what you seek out when thinking about your favorite heart-pounding attraction too, so leave that in the comments. For me, I gravitate towards rides with engaging narratives, practical effects, animatronics, immersive environments, thrills, and a feeling of being an active participant. Right now, it seems like 2 rides typically rise to the top of the list when discussing which are the cream of the crop, using the factors I just mentioned: Rise of the Resistance and Flight of Passage. Both tout experiences through fantastical worlds from well-known franchises. Which one is the best one, though? What if I told you that neither were? The best thrill ride in Walt Disney World is... Dinosaur. That's right, I've quickly alienated most people watching this video. Apologies, but I needed to bring up those previous 2 as points of comparison. As they typically top the list for many parkgoers, I like to look at these incredibly popular e-ticket attractions to see how rides have evolved in the 20-year plus gap since Dinosaur, aka Countdown to Extinction, first arrived. In a lot of ways, Countdown paved the way for many rides with its double feature pre-show, allusions to a looming threat, and a constant predator harassing you throughout a ride experience. This video isn't meant to tear down those other rides to raise Dinosaur up in the minds of the biggest Walt Disney World fans, but meant to showcase why I think Countdown is just the coolest ride on property. Let's begin by establishing some of my biases. Firstly, I rode the most terrifying ride in Animal Kingdom way back in the late 90s. I was roughly 7 or 8 years young and was in love with dinosaurs. Still am. As this will basically be a love letter to the black sheep of Animal Kingdom, I want to go step by step over all the elements that make this whole attraction work for me. The experience starts off in such an unassuming fashion. You're walking through the dense foliage near the Dino Institute, past various casts of famous fossils. While I prefer to approach the building in the evening, regardless of when you go, you can typically hear peaceful music permeate the area. Feels a little bit like walking into Jurassic Park's visitor center, which is very intentional, I surmise. In an attempt that seems somewhat geared to dull your excitement, more dino casts and a diorama greet you as you enter. Then, you turn the corner, and bam! You're faced with one of the biggest and most intimidating casts yet, the Carnotaurus. Pretty sweet. You can read about it as it dominates the center of the educational facility. Bill Nye the Science Guy can be heard describing the events leading up to the demise of the dinosaurs here too. Without realizing it, you've been introduced to the 2 main antagonists of your impending adventure. The next leg of the journey brings you to one of my favorite things introduced in the late 90s, the pre-ride movie.
Hello there!
Something my beloved Generation 1 Test Track had as well. We see in this short film who the major human players are, the vehicle we'll be riding in, and the conflicting purposes of our time travel. Dr. Marsh wants to send you back to the early Cretaceous period, to basically show off the Dino Institute's latest tech. On the flip side, Dr. Seeker wants to send you back to the incredibly late Cretaceous period to collect a live dinosaur. We are now embroiled in a classic workplace conflict. This is part I cannot stress enough, but here is where we make the choice. Do we go on the secret mission for Seeker or not? It may not feel like a tough decision, but it still feels like we are an active participant in what is essentially a dino heist. The tone of the attraction seems to shift dramatically as we descend the stairs to the loading platform. Lights flicker, Time Rover engines rumble, and this eerie sense of foreboding seems to emanate from this large concrete-laden room. After boarding, Dr. Seeker, along with the computer, gives us that vital driving information of what we are going to procure and how much time we have to do so. During even the time travel sequence, you can see that almost everything here is practical. The time travel tunnel with its toaster-inspired design is a unique introduction and provides a stark contrast from the modern day into a primeval world. The ensuing quest has you zipping around life-size animatronics of dinosaurs that truly feel real. Especially the segment where the Carnotaurus rushes the vehicle. That is extremely spooky and thrilling, particularly if you're riding alone. I highly recommend it.
Kick it! Oh my gosh, honestly scared,
Along with these menacing beasts, the darkness and dense vegetation make you feel like you've actually traveled back in time millions of years. The conclusion is a harrowing experience with one last face-to-face encounter with the Carnotaurus, which is just so memorable. And finally, at the very end of the ride, when you see the Iguanodon has been successfully transported to our time via the security monitors, is a great touch that pins a bow on the whole experience. Okay, I've rambled on long enough and probably infuriated many Disney World fans here, but in closing, I want to say this. Discussing and possibly comparing all these rides is very much like likening apples to oranges, and my thoughts may shift as new rides come into existence. Each one of these rides has different vehicles, stories, and aims to transport you to very different worlds. I focused on these three because of not only my personal bias, but also of the supposed general consensus at the time of this recording. On top of all that, I didn't even mention roller coasters or water rides, which could totally change the game. If you have the chance to ride Flight of Passage or Rise of the Resistance, you obviously should. They're incredible and unique in their own rights. If I could sit on Rise and ride it back to back, I would totally jump at that opportunity. Also, this video again is meant to shed light on a ride that many, I feel, take for granted.
Legionnaires, thank you so much for watching this video. I had to kind of put some rules and regulations in because if I didn't, it'd be one of those things where, you know, Peter Pan could get matched up against, like, Expedition Everest, and that's going to get a little too crazy. And, you know, a lot of people might be like, well, Jimmy, you're just going to say Space Mountain. You know, part of me wanted to. But I kind of like to separate some of these rides out a little bit, and that's just in my own brain. That's just how I function, and maybe you don't function that way, and you're like, why didn't he put the teacups at number one? Anyway, but I just wanted to talk about these two rides because right now, at the time of this recording, they are, like, the ones that people talk about the most. They are the hottest tickets in town. But I'm just going to tell you this right now. I think my countdown is still a real hot ticket. You know, you just gotta forgive the fact that it's tucked way back and away, you know, just waiting for some intrepid explorers to go on a crazy, crazy mission. Oh, gosh, I love it so much. Also, another thing to consider is that when I went on this the first time, I was like 7 or 8, roughly. And that's a huge point, you know, of contention with some because, like, if you go on a ride at the right time in your life with the right people, it could be the best ride ever in your brain forever. And I want to know what yours are. Tell me about the experiences. I want to hear about the memories and stuff, because that would be so great to hear. If you want to see more Disney videos like this, I made a wish list on this kind of 5th Walt Disney World theme park centered around the Disney villains. I really think it's going to happen eventually. Disney, call me, please. I would be happy to help. But I also do a regular show called The Disney Duo, where I sit down with my twin sister Katie, and we talk about our trips and kind of our top 3s or top 5s or whatever from the parks. But if you ever have any suggestions for those videos, let me know as well. If you really want to support the channel, consider checking out the links down below for our Spreadshirt, our Instagram, our TikTok, a bunch of places you can follow us, our Facebook, our website, so many things, along with our Patreon, which if you're donating at $5 and up, you get your name here at the end. And, you know, just sharing us around on Facebook and Twitter. That stuff helps too. Thank you for all the people who are doing those things. I appreciate you so much. And I hope you're enjoying all these Disney videos because I enjoy making them. They're so much fun to make because I love Disney World and Disneyland. And, man, one of these days I'm going to go to Tokyo Disney Sea and I'm going to lose my mind. But regardless, until next time, just remember to adapt and overcome.